Hey friends, back with another Salem's Lot episode, but this one is really exciting. So you may remember in a previous episode, we talked about these mysterious tapes that were purchased by us, the Salem's Lot minority, from the collection of Jules Brenner, who was the actual cinematographer on the movie Salem's Lot 1979 version, the one that we love more than anything. Well, we got the tapes. We sent them off to be transferred. And after much waiting and anticipation, in this episode, we're going to tell you what's on them. Well, let's get to it. What's up, Salem's Lot friends? We're back. I'm with the Salem's Lot minority. We got Boogeyman Ben up there, Ben Ottaviano. We have Conglomeration Cat, Sam Straub, and the man who really led us all to all these Salem's Lot places. And he's the author of the website Salem's Lot Then and Now, and also the Facebook page Salem's Lot Then and Now, Mr. Ian Bolton. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Great,
Nice
Danny.
to
How are
see
you, Brent?
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to see you guys. Yeah, so we're here to talk about these tapes. There may be somebody watching going, all right, I saw this video, but what tapes are they talking about? Sam, you want to give us like a 30-second catch up?
Mhm.
30 second. I'll give you a 30-minute catch up.
Whatever
So
you think.
first the earth cooled and then the dinosaurs came.
Yes.
Well, I have been reading the comments on Danny's page, and everyone has been really super fun to deal with. They've been asking if we heard anything yet. Is there any updates on the transfers
Mhm.
yet? And I have been getting back to everybody saying it's kind of a patience game because these tapes um, were almost not going to happen. They've been sitting so long in storage that they're very much like what a generic VHS tape would be.
Mhm.
And obviously, if you open up the flap, this is kind of the look of the
Mhm.
tape that you're seeing. So it's kind of the same format with Umatic. And a lot of people don't understand that after a while, there's a certain kind of lubrication they use on the oxide of these tapes that go across the capstan motor, and the pinch rollers of every player, either it be like a VHS player, either like a Betamax. And each time that you run these through, a little bit of the oxide starts to wear and the lubricant starts to dry up. Hence, there could be brittleness, there could be tape damage, because between the motor and the capstan, it's pulling these tapes through. That's what's reading the heads.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he literally, just on one out of three of these pneumatic tapes that I gave him, literally took 15 to 20 times to transfer and restore and to also dehydrate, putting through a machine to warm them up. He says they were almost near to impossible. And MPEX back in the day was out of Redwood City, California. It's not like they were like Sony or JVC, where they were a little bit higher quality as far as the actual material of the tape. MPEX was the lowest of the totem pole. So that's unfortunately what most of these are on. So I did actually get him back earlier this morning. Bless his heart, he got them all on DVDs. He got
Wow.
tape three, 2 discs. He got tape two transferred on, which is 2 disc. And the first tape was the stubborn one. And there's literally 6 discs
Jeez.
because each
Wow.
time he has to transfer them over, one would glitch in the middle and he would have to stop, and it would basically like almost gum up the heads of tape oxide. He would have to get like an actual Q-tip, and he would have to literally clean and demagnetize his player from top to bottom just to get it to read through. So it's 90% intact. The rest of it is literally unwatchable because it'll glitch, it'll get jittery, and then it'll just pop and flick and skip. It's very much like a film projector, only it's not flickering. It's just basically unwatchable. Some of the
Mhm.
audio is intact, some of it isn't. Most of it is a mono track, and any noise in the background is in your face. This
Oh
is
wow.
before, yeah, this is before digital. So
Mhm.
with digital, you can, I wouldn't say separate channels, but the frequency and your equalizers are definitely much more prone to be balanced.
Mhm.
So these things, it's like literally hearing it from the little speaker that people had in their TVs back in the day. It's that loud and up front. He did make notes, which is really educational and fascinating for me. He literally says that tape one at the beginning of the movie will have 5 DVDs alone. Sections of the movie as best as I
Oh.
could transfer it. I treated the tape multiple times and cleaned the video heads of both machines over and over, 15 to 25 times at least. But that tape was just nearly beyond hope.
Mhm.
Often the transfer would stop because DVD recorders are made extremely sensitive to anything that remotely smacks of copyright protection, even when it is not copyright protected.
Hmm.
The jittery picture of tape number one would be the case of that to happen. It was reading something that was not mixing well with the
Yeah.
DVD player. It was putting up a red flag.
Mhm.
I ran the other two tapes twice, once in each machine, and managed to get the majority out of what was salvageable. So, what he described to me and what makes more sense to me is that this is the 1980 airing. This is not the 1979 version because it's CBS presentation. And
Mhm.
if you go on YouTube, I do have it underneath my favorites. It is labeled as the 1980 version, the 3 hour version.
Okay.
So it's basically 1 year going
After.
forward, right
Yeah.
around Halloween, because it got so much demand. Um, and I'm just going to lay this flat out to everybody that's watching, everybody that's here in the group. There are unfortunately no alternate takes. There's nothing in the barrel. I think that barrel's rusted and gone.
Yeah.
It's still really cool because I kind of back into it again. I almost felt like I was watching it for the first time because of the way it looked grainy, the way the sound was back in the late 70s. You didn't have any digital enhancements of any kind to clean up, nothing. This was as real as it gets. So I'm thinking it's a transfer from his collection that he gave to CBS.
So that they could use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can use it.
Mhm.
CBS, as far as these tapes go, they don't
Mhm.
have any commercials.
Oh,
The
okay.
only thing that the DVD and even our TV 44, Ben, the one
Mhm.
that we
Yeah,
see
yeah,
when
yeah.
we were
Mhm.
teenagers or in our
Mhm.
20s,
Yeah.
the only thing that they do not include is literally a Salem's Lot
Like intro
logo, which
or
is in pink, and then it has a soundtrack, like kind of like a musical passage that Harry did
Mhm.
specifically for CBS to go ahead and insert commercials.
Hmm. Oh,
It's
interesting.
Yeah, it's a very different sound, and it maybe last all of 3 or 4 seconds, but it's something that's not on the
But
soundtrack.
it's noticeable.
It's not on DVD. It's not even on the
Mhm.
European cut. It's its own separate thing specifically for CBS, and I found that really intriguing.
That is
And the
intriguing.
reason why people think that, oh, why is it a 200-minute cut? It's because they inserted so many commercials
Mm.
Yeah.
that they can only allow a 10-minute segment, and then you can generally tell just by the score of the musical passages when those commercials were supposed to be inserted in and timed.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's really cool to see. Um, I even noticed that when Ed Flanders, Susan's father,
Mhm.
gets put up to the antelope horns inside the
Mhm.
Marston house when James
Mhm.
Mason puts him up,
Yeah.
I never noticed before that obviously they had to censor that. They had to crop the ratio because it was too gory and too violent to show his
Mhm.
full body hanging.
Yeah.
It's his face, and I don't know if it's James Mason's
Oh, he's
wrist.
holding him still?
Someone's still holding him,
Oh, wow.
and I've never seen that. And then his eyes droop down and his head goes down. So it's a completely different take.
But it's a close up, isn't it? Isn't it
It
like a
is.
close?
It's
Yeah,
cropped to
because
the face.
I haven't seen so when not to interrupt you, but I've seen that, but I haven't seen that in a long time because when they re-aired it, the first time I saw the full miniseries, I was 11, I believe. I was 11 years
Yeah,
old, and
yeah,
that's when it was on 44. And that
right.
was the one moment that was different, where it's usually it was the shot of it from you're seeing him this like this, and that one it was almost like it was like here, like you were close to him here, and his face was just you just saw his face and his eyes, and then his head went like that. But I never noticed that somebody was
Yeah.
holding him.
Somebody,
Yeah.
just like James Mason does. Well,
Mhm.
actually, what he
Well,
does
he picks
is
him up like
on
this.
his shoulder.
Yeah, yeah.
And then right when he's thrusted up against, there's David Soul and Lance Kerwin looking up like, oh, that's
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
good. And they make a
Yeah.
dash out of frame. Then
Yeah.
it's a hand. And I'll
Yeah.
be able to send the actual screenshot to you, Danny, or Ben, if you're going to upload it. I've got
Yeah,
it on
cool.
my phone. We'll
Yeah, I'd like to see it again because I think I know that shot because I thought that was what I was going to see when I bought the miniseries for the first time on VHS.
right.
And it's not that. It's the longer shot, if I
Which is
remember
the
correct.
European cut. That's the
Yeah.
European cut that they
Yeah,
took
yeah.
off
Yeah.
this guy
Yeah, yeah.
and put it.
Because, and that's what I also got confused because, not to segue into something else, but the scene in the Sawyer house is different because in the European cut, he puts the barrel of the gun in his mouth, and in the miniseries, he holds it up to his face and gives the
Right.
long speech about self-control and all that, and that wasn't in the
Right.
European cut.
No, and I was kind of half expecting the additional scene of there's a dead man upstairs with Jason,
I
and
know.
but
It's
that's
like
not in there either. That's something that got
damn.
put on, put in the bin or whatever. But those are
Yeah.
the ones that's what I got out of it. But it was a lot of reattempts on Jerry's end to try to restore it. So it's in pieces.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like a broken puzzle. You know how you get a puzzle from a thrift store and half the
Hmm.
pieces are missing? That's
Missing,
the
yeah.
only analogy. That's the only analogy that I can really put to these guys. But at the end of the day, these are just so cool to have because it literally
Yeah.
is from Jules Brenner's estate. This
Hmm.
is one of a kind, and the fact that it's supposed to be in our collection to discuss, to share with the fans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
It didn't
cool.
get lost and it didn't get like and
No,
it didn't completely deteriorate so we couldn't see what was on it. I mean, even if it wasn't exactly what we
right,
had hoped it would be, we still it is a piece of
right.
film history. It is a piece of, someone that helped create that film. It's like it is something that it's film history. And, like I said, I think we can always hope for something, but at the end of the day, I think, just given when that movie came out, how fast they turned it over, how fast they got it on to, even though it was, it's still a work of art and it's a genius movie that we all love. There was just the way that films were made back then were very different than the way they are now. You'll see a movie sometimes take 2 years to hit the theaters, and even in television, this was a television movie. They shot it in the summer, it was on in the fall. It was a very quick turnover. So who knows if they even shot any extra scenes besides the one that we've seen in the trailer, which is him saying there's a dead man upstairs. I wish I
Yeah,
could see that full thing. That's the one because
right,
we know
right.
that that existed. That's
Yeah,
the
it
only one
does.
that we know it
It's
existed.
somewhere.
And
Another
then,
thing I
yeah.
noticed too by seeing the actual broadcast from 1980, I don't know if 1979 has it, but 1980, when Gillespie leaves the antique shop,
Hmm.
you see James Mason put down the letter envelope opener,
Hmm.
like he's about to get up, but he kind of pulls back and then it fades to black.
Yeah.
Really intriguing. There's no musical passage during that scene.
Hmm.
There's no musical passage on the
Hmm.
DVD.
Hmm.
I don't think it's even in the European cut. However, my cable cut from TV 44 back in
Wow.
1989 or 1990
Hmm.
has a musical passage which crescendos, and it's the same musical passage when Ben and Mark are in the cellar and he falls and wrecks his ankle. Remember
Hmm.
that musical passage
But it
before
goes
he fades?
boom, doom, doom, doom,
Yes.
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
They
That's how,
insert that
yeah.
in my TV 44 cut from San Francisco on
That's
this,
funny.
but it's not on the broadcast in 1980 that I just got back.
That's funny. That's weird. But there, I mean, we did see like the European cut has music. I mean, the opening is different. The music is a little different, and the closing credits are different. There's like,
Jason Burke's Jason Burke's heart attack after he
it's
sends off
different.
Mike Ryerson is super aggressive. It's
Yeah.
not as tame and it's not as kind of almost shy. It's
Hmm.
just heart attack, brr,
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
really interesting to see the alternate takes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all I got, guys. I wish I could, say, "Hey, open the treasure chest. There's gold. Let's split
Well,
it."
we knew it was kind of a crapshoot. We knew that it was kind of like the mystery of what could it possibly be? And then there was like we all decided it was the risk we wanted to take with,
Yeah, yeah,
pulling the trigger on it because it's so rare that you see anything from that film.
yeah,
Anything. I mean, it's almost like an enigma and you don't see props from it. You don't see costumes go on sale, nothing. So anything that was from legitimately from somebody that helped create it, I think was the goal that we had in mind if it did turn out to just be what we already had seen.
Right.
And if we had not, I mean, would anybody have bought them? You
No.
know, they might
Someone could have, or they would just shoved it in a corner and said, "Look what I
exactly.
got." You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
they would have, and it would have just deteriorated more.
And never
Right.
tell anybody what's on them. So
Hmm.
I believe Sam did the right thing by texting us and saying, you know what, I just bought them. I'm just going
Well,
to.
well, and like I said, I worried when we did that video, that initial video to talk about it, and I said, "Watch, just to spite us, somebody will buy them." And because we're still trying to make our minds up and get a consensus, and there's just going to be one of those jerky people that you come across sometimes that'll be like, "Oh, let me just do it just to mess with these guys and take it off," and then we would never have known. So,
Yeah. And
that's
then,
that's the way that my brain works.
right, it would just be this hovering cloud for all of us to do this huge chorus of what if.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Very true.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Not exactly what we were hoping. We wanted some behind the scenes footage or anything we haven't seen before, but that's okay. We still own this great piece of history from Jules Brenner himself. I want to thank the Salem's Lot minority and especially Sam for going to great lengths to have these things transferred. But that's it for this episode. Until I see you again, I wish for you and all your family and friends peace and blessings. I'll see you soon.